It was like what? When I will take the outside ring defense, the former enemies, and when I will take each one of them to live 1 year in my palace with me in order for him to learn how to govern his territory so he can go back and govern his territory in the outer ring. In addition to that, I'm gonna force their families to come and live behind me, so I will use them as insurance to not let any daimyo lead any rebellion against me. طب, the question is, after this year, after the daimyo leaving the palace of Tokugawa, does the families do the families leave the place that they were living behind Tokugawa? No, they will stay and they will live behind Tokugawa forever, because Tokugawa wants to make sure that the um, even when the his enemies, his daimyo, who is living in the outer edge, will go back to their territories. He wants to make sure that they will not lead any rebellion against him. So the families of the daimyos, they're gonna be living behind Tokugawa forever. Now, him controlling the economy, guys, with him, incredible economy growth happened to Japan. Why? Because number one, Tokugawa took control or took care of what? Of agriculture. He encouraged agriculture. He provided the farmers with what? With tools, better seeds, and he used the fertile soil to make it, or he used fertilizers to make the soil like fertilized and good for agriculture, to make the outcomes even better than before. He used the agriculture in a very smart way that it led to a great output, which is what the output or the outcome of the agriculture was: an immediate population boom, which means what? That the number of the population at that time, it was like doubled, because agriculture was perfect and the incomes of agriculture was better than before, because Tokugawa encouraged agriculture and provided better tools, better seeds, and a better soil. Also, guys, number two about economy, that Tokugawa used the merchants. The merchants were permitted to travel throughout the archipelagos, at the archipelago, and they were moving from this archipelago to that, to this, to that, to this, to that. So they revived the trade, and they turned the trade into what? Into a Japanese national economy. So they turned the Japanese trade on, and it was revived. And of course, we're talking about after the inner wars between Tokugawa and his local enemies, daimyos. So this was after the Warring States era, because of course when Japan had war, the merchants were not allowed to trade within between the archipelagos. The third thing about economy, that Tokugawa controlled the access of resources. So any resources, we're talking about iron, we're talking about food, we're talking about seeds, we're talking about um, silk, we're talking about anything, resources of economy, Tokugawa controlled. And Tokugawa eventually was able to control the entire country. In other words, Tokugawa unified the economy of Japan under one name of the shogun of Japan, Tokugawa Ieyasu. Now, the benefits of this plan that he used, the one that we talked before, which is the alternate year attendance plan, that he forced the daimyo's families to enter and to live behind him, so he can make sure no one will make any lead any rebellion against him. The benefits of it was number one, he unintentionally encouraged overland trading, because now wealthy families living behind Tokugawa, and they want to go and visit their families where in the edges, like the daimyo in the edges of Japan. So when they will go, they will buy things from the edges, and then when they will come back, or when anyone who wants to go back and live like behind Tokugawa, they need to sell very very expensive things in the center of the country. So this overland trading, it was unintentionally encouraged by parting the head of the family from the family itself. Number two, he broke down the barriers between the merchants and the farmers and the nobles because he took some power from the enemies. So he broke the barriers, and also he broke the barriers between what and what, between different archipelago inside of his huge empire of Japan. Number three, the national economy growth, of course, because now the trading between the archipelagos encouraged, and growth, and the merchants now traveling between the different archipelago. And number four, diverse offering of goods was spread throughout the entire nation. Yes, because this, for example, archipelago is famous for iron, this one is for silk. The outer side, like on the edges, they bought something from outside, so they will sell it inside. So diverse offering of goods. And another thing, the price of the goods now is like diverse between the different archipelagos. So diverse thing throughout the entire nation. Tokugawa Ieyasu's political organization, of course, was finished with him dying at the end of, with him, like, finished by the end, his policy, sorry, not with him dying, it was finished by the end of 1600s, with Japan had implemented a national policy of isolation. That's it for today, guys. If you have any question, you are so welcome to ask me.